This time, my wife and I visit a town that's more known for what it wasn't than for what it is. It's one of those towns that are better visited on the way to somewhere else. Not because it isn't interesting, but because it's more of a place to live than a place to explore. Some of you have commented that some towns in Puerto Rico are mostly that, places to live. But the only way to know what a town has to offer is to actually go there. Then, when all 78 municipalities have been explored, Puerto Rico by GPS viewers will be able to pick and choose. I guess the ultimate Puerto Rico road trip is one where you visit the best in several neighboring towns and make a day of it. This happens in Puerto Rico and pretty much everywhere else. My wife and I have visited more than half of the states in the lower 48, and not all of them are like New York, Boston, or Central Florida. Some have great cities, and others are mostly known for their exuberant nature. Together, they form the tapestry of a great nation. The same happens here. Most of the time, Puerto Rico has a little bit of everything. Other times, it has a lot. It's a matter of exploring it. This time, Zoraida and I went to the town of Morovis in the north-central region of Puerto Rico. Our two grandkids were off from school, so our party was a little larger than usual. Morovis is a sleepy town that's north of Orocovis, east of Ciales, south of Manatí, Vega Baja, and Vega Alta, and west of Corozal. Now here's a funny thing about this town. Mention the name Morovis to any Puerto Rican, and he or she will almost always blurt out the phrase La isla menos Morovis, which in English means the island minus Morovis. Now what is that? What does it even mean? Well, guess what? Most of the people blurting out that phrase don't know either. It's just one of those things that they've heard somewhere and they keep throwing it around without giving it a second thought. Well, today you're gonna find out. Back in 1853, Puerto Rico was struck with a cholera epidemic. As you probably know, cholera is an acute gastrointestinal infection caused by the bacterium Vibrio cholerae. It spread through contaminated food or water, particularly in areas with poor sanitation. Puerto Rico's epidemic was quite severe, extending between 1853 and 1856 and causing an estimated 25,820 deaths. And guess which town was the only one that didn't have a single case? You guessed it, Morovis. That's where the phrase actually comes from, the island minus Morovis, because they were the only municipality that was spared from that deadly epidemic. Today, Morovis is struggling with a different kind of problem, the crippling effects of Puerto Rico's economic downfall. Founded in 1818 after separating from the neighboring town of Manatí, the town's main industries are agriculture, cattle, and light manufacturing. Morovis has a relatively low median house income and a high poverty rate. Additionally, the municipality experienced significant damage and displacement following Hurricane Maria, which exacerbated existing economic challenges. And you can tell just by walking the streets. Closed businesses, broken streets, and a sense of emptiness that just yells economic crisis. Our first stop was at the beautiful Our Lady of Carmen Parish. The temple opened its doors in 1823, which makes it 202 years old. And yet, it doesn't look a decade old. The exterior is modern, almost boxy in its design, and the interior is beautiful, modern, and well lit. You might wonder why I frequently mention the well lit thing as a positive when visiting temples. Well, as it turns out, I happen to have astigmatism, and people like me struggle in dark places, especially when it comes to shooting video or making photos. Just by looking at this temple, you can tell that it has been remodeled several times. The plaza in front of it is a different story. Dedicated to Don Juan Evangelista Rivera, the town's second mayor, it's a huge square with wonderful trees, bare concrete pavement, and red benches that look like they came from a 50s Dairy Queen. It's sad. However, in all fairness, my wife was told at City Hall that the square will be undergoing a total remodeling in a nearby future. In case you're wondering, the altar at the parish points east. The square sits west of the parish, and City Hall is north of them both. The City Hall building is large, modern, and looks well kept. So what more can I say about Morovis? Well, we were hoping to visit an old bakery called La Patria that was established in 1862 and was famous for el pan de la patita hecha. Okay. In case your Spanish is kind of rusty, that means the cross-legged bread. You know how some couples sleep with a leg over their mate? Well, that's what it really means in Spanish. In any case, the place closed after its most recent owners died, and the present owner, a relative of the deceased, is struggling to reopen it. The funny thing was that after going around and around looking for a parking spot, I finally opted for an empty establishment on the outskirts of town. And guess what it turned out to be? You guessed it, La Patria Bakery. Oh, and in case you're struggling with the whole La Patria thing, it means the homeland bakery in the King's English. Another place we were hoping to visit was Las Cabañuelas, a local cave system that's supposed to rival some of the greatest in the world. However, like many other attractions in Puerto Rico, red tape often gets in the way of things becoming an international phenomenon. After leaving the center of town, we went looking for El Puente Colorado, which in English means the Red Bridge. It was a lattice bridge built in 1913 and brought to its knees by constant hurricanes and the effects of time. Well, guess what? The bridge is no longer Colorado. It's actually been replaced by a one-lane modular steel bridge painted in gray with the sides of the original bridge kept for nostalgic reasons. However, I must say that the area where the bridge crosses the Morovis River at kilometer 50 of PR 155 is simply breathtaking. There are flamboyanes everywhere. What are those, you might ask? They're those beautiful red trees that seem to be everywhere in the Morovis area. They were brought to Puerto Rico by the Spaniards from the island of Madagascar. Their beautiful red blooms are the perfect complement to Puerto Rico's lush green landscapes, so much so that you see them everywhere around the island. And most people are convinced that they've been here forever. After leaving Puente Colorado, we went looking for a waterfall called El Patrón that's out in the country heading towards the neighboring town of Vega Baja. When we got there, we discovered that it sits within private property, and that according to what I found online, the new owners don't allow any visitors. So as you might imagine, we turned around and headed back to San Juan. And talking about San Juan, if you're planning to visit the old city, save yourself the hassle of traditional city tours. They're expensive and you'll be herded along with people that won't necessarily share your interests. Instead, order the Old San Juan Walking Tour. It's packed with useful information about all the main attractions, as well as every GPS coordinate and 2 hours of exclusive online video. That way, you'll be able to visit before you visit, and hit the ground running when you arrive in the old city. See you next time.